Now at 5, we're going to hear from the residents of a Joplin apartment complex that will apparently be demolished. Plus, how Freeman Health System will use a nearly $2 million grant to train workers. And 5 former Memphis police officers are charged with murder in the death of a man during a traffic stop.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Some residents of a Joplin apartment complex are worried about where they'll be in the coming weeks. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. The 2 buildings are located at 2nd and Byers. Assistant Joplin City Manager Tony Robin tells us the complex will be demolished, but did not give us a date. Residents' water was shut off more than a week ago by Missouri American Water. Tenants told KOAM's Kerry Worthen they've had to fix issues such as doors, frames, walls, appliances are not being replaced. The ceiling leaks when it rains. Tenants say they have not been notified from the landlord about having to leave or notice of water being shut off.
We can't take a bath, can't water our dogs, can't drink water, can't cook food, can't clean the house, clean the floors, nothing. And it's just up to us. He doesn't even write a lease agreement or nothing. He just writes out receipts and moves you in.
Since we spoke with the landlord, we're told he paid the bill and water has been restored. Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy joins us now with a first look at the weather.
Well, of course, it turned out to be a chilly day or a cold day for us today. We have partly sunny skies through the morning hours. Some clouds have been sneaking through over the past couple hours, so we can call it partly cloudy skies. But besides that, we're pretty quiet across the Central Plains, and we're going to stay that way as we go through the evening hours. But it is cold. If you're going to be out, make sure you bundle up. 32 in Nevada, 35 Neosho, Miami at 39. Pittsburgh only sitting at 32 degrees. Plus, it's windy. We got these northwesterly winds kicking in 5 to 10 to 15. Makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is, and it's going to stay windy as we go through the next few days. So wind chill factors are sitting upper 20s to lower 30s at this point in time. Through the evening, we drop back to about 30. We actually rise a bit toward dawn. We're going to warm up a little bit more as we go into Friday. We're going to look at that here in just a bit.
Freeman Health System is receiving a $1.7 million grant from the Missouri Department of Economic Development. It'll help Freeman train and retain more than 800 workers in high-need areas, such as nursing and scrub tech.
So we are limited by the size of the space they have as to how many people we can enroll in the program. So our hope is by expanding what we're doing, they will be able to take on, right now I believe it's 6 is our max. Our goal would be to have anywhere from 13 to 20 students each session of class, cycle of class.
Freeman also plans to eventually renovate its professional development center to create state-of-the-art classrooms. The Homeless Coalition of Jasper and Newton counties today provided a one-stop location for people experiencing homelessness to access resources. The Winter Project Homeless Connect event connects the homeless with health care, food, and housing resources and helps them look for employment opportunities.
Homeless folks that come in today, we survey them and we're asking them where they stayed last night. So we're able to do that and then have services here for them to access, because that's kind of tough for homeless folks to access things sometimes because they're far away and hard to get to.
The half-day event was at the Central Christian Center in Joplin. Prosecutors in Memphis are taking action against the former police officers accused of beating a driver earlier this month at a traffic stop. Court records show all 5 men now face multiple charges ranging from official misconduct to second-degree murder. Reporter Bradley Blackburn has the story.
5 former Memphis police officers who encountered Tyree Nichols during a violent traffic stop are now in police custody. Court documents show they are facing felony charges.
While each of the 5 individuals played a different role in the incident in question, the actions of all of them resulted in the death of Tyree Nichols, and they are all responsible.
Nichols was pulled over on January 7th, accused of reckless driving. He died from his injuries 3 days later.
He was a human piñata for those police officers. It was an unadulterated, unabashed, nonstop beating.
Nichols' mother has seen video of the encounter.
All I heard my son say was, "What did I do?" Where's the humanity in all of this?
The 5 officers were fired last week following an internal Memphis Police Department probe. The FBI and Department of Justice are conducting a separate civil rights investigation.
Our federal investigation may take some time. These things often do. But we will be diligent and we will make decisions based on the facts and the law.
The Memphis Chief of Police is promising full cooperation.
This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane.
All of the fired officers had been with the Memphis Police Department for less than 6 years. The funeral for Tyree Nichols will be held next week in Memphis. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
The video of that encounter is going to be released tomorrow. The Memphis police chief is asking the public for calm after viewing the video. A teacher in Virginia who was shot by a 6-year-old student earlier this month now says administrators failed to act despite 3 warnings the child might have had a gun. Abigail Werner, who was shot in the chest, intends to file a lawsuit against the Newport News School District in the coming days. The school's assistant principal resigned yesterday, and the school board voted last night to remove the superintendent. Still ahead, President Biden touts his economic policies, but Republicans are pushing back. And next in Health Watch, the FDA discusses possible changes to the COVID vaccination schedule. Topping today's Health Watch, an FDA panel is weighing whether to make COVID vaccinations similar to yearly flu shots. This simplified approach aims to cut down on confusion and means Americans would no longer have to keep track of how many shots they've received. Michael George reports.
The FDA says we're at a point in the pandemic where it's time to reevaluate the nation's approach to COVID-19 vaccines.
We continue to be learning more about SARS coronavirus 2, not just about the virus, but also how it causes disease, and especially how rapidly it can evolve.
At a virtual meeting Thursday, the agency's advisory panel discussed whether to adopt a more routine approach, updating the shots every year to combat the latest strains.
FDA envisions an evidence-driven approach, similar in many ways to the process used for influenza vaccines, to monitor and update as needed the composition used in all COVID-19 vaccines.
FDA scientists say many Americans now have sufficient pre-existing immunity because of vaccination, previous infection, or a combination of both, giving them what should be enough protection to move to annual boosters. The agency is also considering transitioning to a single vaccine composition rather than different configurations for the primary series and booster doses.
I think a lot of people have found the recommendations to be very confusing and difficult to keep up with, and the idea here is to simplify that so people can follow those recommendations more easily.
More than 80% of the U.S. population has had at least one vaccine dose, but less than 20% of eligible Americans have received the latest boosters that were authorized in August. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
While most of the general U.S. population will need just a single dose moving forward, the FDA says more than one dose might still be needed for some groups, such as high-risk older adults, persons with compromised immunity, and young children. New CDC data show more than a quarter of Americans have at least one allergy. According to the findings, about 1/4 of adults had a seasonal allergy, about 7% have eczema, and about 6% had a food allergy in 2021. Among children, nearly 1 in 5 had a seasonal allergy, more than 10% had eczema, and nearly 6% had a food allergy. A new blood test is helping identify the advancement of osteoarthritis in the knee. Previously, there was no accurate way to predict which patients have the highest risk of osteoarthritis progression. Researchers now believe this test will pinpoint which patients are best suited for clinical trials that could one day lead to improved treatments for the debilitating disease. And engineers at the University of California, San Diego have developed a wearable ultrasound device that looks at the structure and function of the heart. The portable device is the size of a postage stamp and can be worn for up to 24 hours, even during strenuous exercise. The goal is to make ultrasound technology more accessible to a larger population. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why Meta is reinstating the Facebook and Instagram accounts of former President Trump.
Plus, we're going to warm up a little bit more as we go into Friday. We'll check that out coming up. Well, it's definitely turned out to be a cold one across the region. Had some sunshine during the morning hours, clouds kind of filtering in during the afternoon hours, but a nice shot of Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Mostly cloudy skies and temperatures. They're cold, 32 in Stockton, 32 in Nevada, 39, a little bit warmer. Anderson, we're at 41 at Grand Lake. Pittsburgh, only 32, 38 in Parsons, but overall, it's kind of cold across the region. We've had these kind of westerly winds in here all day long. They've been fairly light, but still makes it feel a little bit colder than what it actually is. And the winds are really going to pick up a bit as we go into the next couple days. So wind chill factors right now feels like lower 20s, Nevada to Stockton to lower 30s once you get into northeastern parts of Oklahoma. All right, mostly cloudy, 7th and range line sitting at 34. Westerly winds are light. Humidity sitting at 64%. Through the evening hours, we slide back to near 30. We kind of cap out at about 10 or 11 p.m. and then actually our temperatures rise a bit as we head toward dawn as we get southerly winds, which will start to increase. And that's going to warm us up a little bit more as we go through the next couple days. All right, you can see the clouds working through, even a few random little flurries kind of flying about, but in general, it's pretty quiet. Here across the Central Plains, we have a storm system up across the Dakotas. This will pass into the Great Lakes and not affect us. It's the one behind it building in the Gulf of Alaska. That's the one that's going to start to affect us as we head into the weekend with our next chance for rain and also wintry weather. All right, let's go through time. I'm going to stop at 7 a.m. Southerly winds picking up, so we actually rise into low to mid 30s by morning. As we continue through the morning hours, partly cloudy skies, temperatures mid to upper 40s by noon. Let's go into the afternoon. Here's 4:30. Most of us upper 40s to near 50. 50 in Nevada, 53 at Grand Lake, Parsons sitting at 50 for a high. Tomorrow night, clouds start to increase. It's still windy. We only drop back upper 30s to near 40. And then cloudy skies on Saturday, and you can see a few showers try to get going late in the day into the evening hours. Here's 11 p.m. You see the pink here, and that's a little wintry mix. Maybe a little bit of sleet into Sunday morning. This is not widespread. This is light. This shouldn't be a very big deal, but something we'll keep our eyes on as we go through the next couple days. But look at the winds. So we're going to have winds gusting 30 to 35 by morning. They kind of calm down during the afternoon, then really increase again as we head into Saturday morning. So the next 2 days are going to be very windy across the region. 36 in the morning, 46 by noon, high temp of 51, partly sunny skies. We have those rain chances moving in late Saturday into Sunday morning. Look at our temperatures, much, much colder Sunday. High of only 33 down to 15 Sunday night, high of only 30 on Monday, so mainly into the 30s all week next week, so it turns quite a bit cooler as we go into the next 7 days.
At least generally topping out above freezing, but boy, some of those overnight lows are
really they're going to get down there.
Thanks, Doug. A deadly cold snap is plunging Asia into the deep freeze with harsh winter weather conditions making things miserable for millions of people. The cold has killed more than 150 people in Afghanistan, with families struggling to survive in one of the coldest winters ever. Heavy snow and record cold across East Asia killed at least 4 people in Japan. One city in China hit its coldest temperature ever, dipping to 63 degrees below zero. Climate experts warn the extreme weather events are becoming the new norm. Coming up, President Biden gives a speech on the state of the economy. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Larry Plyler served in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1965 to 1968. The Joplin Native was stationed in Vietnam, received a Purple Heart, and we salute Sergeant Larry Plyler, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, President Biden visited a union hall in Virginia to make the case that his economic policies are working. The speech sounded more like a campaign address than an economic one, and Republicans are hitting back just as hard on the economy. Reporter Nicole D'Antonio has more details from Capitol Hill.
President Biden praised his economic policies, pointing out that the U.S. economy grew at a faster pace in the fourth quarter than analysts expected.
I'm not sure, and I mean it sincerely, the news could have been any better.
The president said legislation passed during his first 2 years in office laid the groundwork to bringing the economy out of the pandemic.
Jobs are the highest in American number and the highest in American history. And wages are up, and they're growing faster than inflation.
Biden policies completely cancel out these supposed deficit savings from the massive climate bill.
Republicans say President and congressional Democrats are spending too much money, and they're promising to rein in the spending now that they control the House of Representatives.
Our economy continues to be weighted down with ever larger regulatory burdens. While Americans grapple with 40-year high inflation due to the Biden administration's failed policies,
they say they intend to block efforts to raise the debt ceiling unless the president agrees to spending cuts.
They're actually threatening to have us default on the American debt, a debt that's been accumulated over 230 years, okay? And the interest on that debt, we've never, ever done that.
Here's the leader of the free world pounding on a table, being irresponsible, saying, no, 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 just raise the limit, make us spend more? No.
President Biden pledged to veto proposed GOP economic bills, including a plan to replace income taxes with a 30% national sales tax. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, the White House.
Most House Republicans, including Speaker McCarthy, say they're opposed to that sales tax plan. However, he did agree to allow a vote on the bill as part of the negotiations to win the House Speaker race. Meta says it's restoring former President Trump's accounts on Facebook and Instagram. The decision comes on the heels of a similar move by Twitter. The move comes just more than 2 years after suspending him in the wake of the January 6th Capitol attack. Meta's president says the social media giant feels the risk to the public safety has receded. However, he says Donald Trump could be suspended again for violating platform policies in the future. Netflix is cracking down on password sharing. In a letter to shareholders, the streaming giant said it's going to start blocking subscribers from sharing passwords with people outside their households in the coming months. And Netflix plans to roll out a paid sharing plan. Netflix says it realizes some people might cancel as a result, but it expects that borrower households activating their own accounts will largely counterbalance that revenue loss. A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, an interview with the Secretary of Veterans Affairs about an expansion of veterans health care. Then on KOAM News at 6, a suspect is arrested in Missouri after a chase in Galena, Kansas put a school on lockdown. Plus, Freeman Health System donates gun trauma kits to the Newton County Sheriff's Office. And to look at what happens when no one runs for a vacant local political office or two. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. An asteroid is about to make a really close encounter with Earth, potentially one of the closest yet for such a large object. Nothing to worry about, though. There is no risk of it actually impacting our planet. It's estimated to be about the size of a box truck. It's going to zoom over the southern tip of South America today in about an hour. It's expected, even if it did come close, and then it would just turn into a fireball and disintegrate harmlessly into the atmosphere for the most part. The bigger debris would potentially fall as small meteors, eventually meteorites, but...
So we can handle a box truck?
Yes.
Okay.
In this case, the atmosphere would burn it to bits mostly anyway.
Okay.
You know, things do fall to Earth once in a
I'm
while.
ready. I'm ready.
Okay, you got your hard hat?
Yes.
Okay, or if you're not going to be in South
It's like
America.
ice falling from the tower.
Yes, yes.
All right, no ice over the next couple days. In fact, we warm up a bit. 51 tomorrow, 53 on Saturday. But look at the cool down as we head into Sunday and Monday.
I think cold down is the right term. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you at 6. Let's make it a great evening.